Hey, we've caught up with Taylor Gray out in the jungles of Nicaragua. Wow. And so we wanted to ask her some questions about a mission trip. And so she's got some stuff to tell us. And so I was going to say to her, Taylor, what did you actually do?
So me and Cammie went obviously to Nicaragua, and we were passing out medicine to people. So they would come into this, like, basically a small clinic, and they would come in and they go through triage, and they get their height and their weight and their heart rate and blood pressure taken by these volunteer nurses. Several of them are retired, but some were still nurses. And then they would, once they did that, they would go see a provider, which was anywhere from a nurse practitioner to just to like an ER doctor. And so they would go see them, and they would diagnose them with whatever symptoms they would having, and they were having, and they would work through a translator. So if I was to go up to a provider, I'd tell my translator, if I spoke Spanish, I would tell my translator what my symptoms were and how long it had been going on and all this stuff, medical history, and then the translator would tell the doctor, and the doctor would prescribe medicine to those people, and then they would come see us, and I would fill the orders, and Cammie would double check, and they'd write how often, she would write how often they need to take these medicines, if there was like once daily or 2 times, 3 times daily, like, or 2 pills 3 times daily, or however often we needed, because there was like acetaminophen, which is Tylenol, and ibuprofen, which you just take as needed most of the time. Some of them
like Advil. Okay.
Some of them took it every day just because of arthritis or whatever. But and then I would fill them, and Cammie would check them, and then our translator would give it to them and verbally explain how to do it.
So where did the medicine come from?
So the people that the organization that we did it through, Olive Branch Ministries, they're located, it's kind of like disciple trips, but I think they're more medical based. I'm not 100% sure. But so they ordered all the medicine, some in country and some in the U.S. And then the other doctors from Lubbock all brought medicine, and me and Cammie brought like vitamins and ibuprofen and acetaminophen. And triage supplies and all of that. And we took most of it down there, but then the stuff that we had ordered in country, Nicaragua, they had shipped to Mission Para Cristo, which is where we were staying, and the actual place we were working with in Nicaragua.
Okay, cool. And I heard it sounded like they speak Spanish.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Which it's a different type of Spanish, but that's how it is in every country that you go to.
Yeah, a little different dialect.
Yes.
Cool. So you were talking about the people come to you with their height and weight. Were they taller or shorter, or how would you describe them?
I would say not really tall, but not really super short. They were about medium height, most of them. And it was a lot of mothers and children that would come more often than not. And then older people, just because those are the ones with more, which all of them have like gastritis and all that stuff. But
were you in a particular city or out? Were you always out in the jungle like this?
So no. We flew into Managua, which is the capital of Nicaragua, and then we stayed the night there, and then did some stuff the next day. We did like a tourist day before we started anything, and then we drove to Jinotega, which is where Mission Para Cristo is based. It was started by Benny and Donna Baker, and so it's in Jinotega. And they actually rent the building that they're living in. And they have tons of rooms upstairs. And me and this lady named Kendra Thornton and Cammie all stayed in a room together. So then every day we would travel to a new place. So one day we went to Apanas. One day we were in Jinotega. And then we went to 2 other places that were like an hour away. And so they were mountainous regions, and we actually had more people come both of those days because they don't get medical clinics as often as you do in Hinatega or even Apanas. And so, yeah.
So what does that mean?
What?
You said it's Mission para Cristo.
Oh, Mission for Christ. Yeah. And then, so we actually drove there. We would get up, so I got up at 5 o'clock Monday and Tuesday. We had to make our own lunch, and then we ate breakfast at 5:30, and our goal every day was to leave at 6, Monday and Tuesday, and then we'd get there by 7, set up, and hopefully open the clinic by 8, and be done by 4:30, 5-ish. And then the next 2 days, I got up at 6, made my lunch, had breakfast at 6:30. We left by 7, got there about 7:30, had 30 minutes to set up, and would go, and then would start triage and start sending them all through, so it's pretty
Did you
cool.
like the food?
I did. It was actually, so Mission Para Cristo is where we ate every morning and every night, and they actually have their own personal cooks who cooked for us, and so that was really nice. So, but they made lots of rice and beans, black beans and white rice, and then we actually had like chicken strips one night with mashed potatoes, and it was all food that's not super unusual in the U.S., so it was really good though. Everything that I ate, I liked a lot. So,
Well, cool. All right. I had a question from a staff member. How was the coffee?
Oh, it was so good. I don't know. Ecuador and it are right next to each other. They're both very smooth, very... the one that we had at the mission was actually more acidic, but we went to this coffee shop, and that's actually where I brought coffee back from, and that is really good.
Really good coffee.
Yes.
All right. Who were you there? Like, how many? I mean, you knew some people, or at least one, right?
Yeah. Okay, so we went with Olive Branch, but there was only 7 people with Olive Branch, and that was me and Cammie, and then Michael and Patty Joyner, Kendra Thornton, Clayton Womack. His last name is weird. And then one of the Olive Branch, he is from Peru, and he works in Peru most of the time, but he comes and does some of this stuff. And his name is Carlos Martinez, and he was actually our Olive Branch leader. So he came with us, and he knew what all medicines were there and had all the labels and everything, so that we could be... He was our logistics guy. His name was Carlos. And then Travis and Mindy Stewart and Benny and Donna Baker actually live in Hinatega. And Benny wasn't there all week because he was actually at a conference for the schools that they just opened, the Christian schools that they just opened. But... So Mindy and Travis, who just recently moved there like 3 months ago or something, but are already helping try and run everything. They were in charge while we were there just because Benny was gone. And then there was a group from Burleson Church of Christ down at Dallas-Fort Worth area, and they brought like 28 people or something. And so that ranged from medical staff to non-medical peoples. To do other mission work, which I got offered to do that, but I enjoyed what I was doing with the medical team, so.
Cool.
Yep.
Okay, how long were you there?
9 days. I was there for 9 days.
So were 2 of them travel days out of the 9? Or
yes.
Okay.
So 2 of them were travel days, and then 2 of them were actually like leisure days. So we actually only went to clinics for 4 days.
Okay. Did you
And
see
then one
anything
was a
cool on the
Sunday.
leisure days?
Yes. So we got there on Friday night, February 28th, and we stayed in Managua, and then we went zip lining, which was a lot of fun, because it was way high up in these trees, and we saw a monkey from
Kind of like these back behind you?
yeah, and we saw a monkey from really far off, but it was above a coffee plantation, so that was really cool to see. There was like 11 swings or whatever you call them. So yeah, there was actually some fun things that we did. We went zip lining, I don't remember. We were supposed to go to a volcano, but the volcano was closed because a man that Thursday was supposed to tightrope across it. A live volcano, so that was kind of interesting. But we went ziplining on 11 different like zipline things, but it was all one big. Does that make sense? Like one big thing. And then we went and ate in Granada. But we ate at this place that's kind of like KFC, but for Nicaragua, and it's called Tip Top, and it was so good. That chicken, amazing. And then I saw a cathedral they were working on in Granada, which was really cool. It had been there for hundreds of years. And then we drove to Hinatega, but then that Friday, after we had done all clinics and everything, we went to this place called Sabanegra, which is actually a resort that they have in Nicaragua. It's gorgeous. It actually mostly looks like this because they built it in the middle of the forest, and there's a coffee plantation that surrounds it, and they grow their own coffee, sell their own coffee. They have like a restaurant. They have lots of cabins that you can stay in, and that was gorgeous. They had a lake that is only at Sabanegra, and and they have their own restaurant that we ate at, and that was also really good. So it was a really gorgeous place to be. It's on the opposite side of the mountain is Hinatega. And then it took, from there, we drove back to Managua, and it took like 3.5 hours. So that, and we were in the little Nissan trucks, not the tiny ones, the like 5-seat ones, but I was in between Carlos and Clayton, which are two grown men in their 30s, and so I'm like squished in between. I'm trying not to touch either of them because I don't want to make them uncomfortable, and they're like trying not to touch me, and I was like, It was kind of crazy, but that was fun.
Do you think anyone's figured out that you're really not in the jungle?
I hope so.
Okay. Any funny stories or spiritual stuff that you wanted to share? Or any stories that don't have to be quantified at any point?
So on Sunday, so we went to church on Sunday, which was really interesting because I could wear this if I wanted to, but we had to wear closed-toed shoes all week unless we were leaving Hinatega.
Is that safety or culture?
Safety so you don't trip, but also to church it was cultural. Okay. Like we just weren't allowed to wear open-toed shoes to church. And so that was one interesting thing. And then we got there, and obviously the whole church is in Spanish because none of them speak English. And the guy that actually taught, they have several different preachers in Hinatega, but the man that actually taught doesn't usually teach. But he was very fire and brimstone, yelling, screaming at us, and it was insane. And I had never been to a church service that was very fire and brimstone like. So it was very an interesting thing. But then also Saturday night we got there and we organized everything, but we counted out 12,000 adult vitamins and counted them in separate pills of 30. And then we counted out thousands of more pills on Sunday, and that was insane. And then I counted out more pills throughout the week when we had a pill that we didn't really think they would, not that the providers wouldn't prescribe them because obviously we had them and if somebody needed them they would, but I had to count out several things that they just kept prescribing that we didn't think they were going to use that much, so we didn't think it was a big deal to count them out. And then one day I was I was tired, but I was more bored than anything, and Cammie makes fun of me for this because we had she says they're 30-second intervals, but we had I say it's like a couple minutes in between when we would get orders and fill them, and I would give them to Cammie, and so I always told her that's why she didn't think it was such a long break, is because she was double checking everything before I started new orders. Well, I was just sitting there one time, it was getting towards the end of the last part of the very last day, and I'm bored, and so I'm just sitting there, and then I was getting kind of tired because in that lull your body just goes ugh, and so I got up we took the rolling crates, like the, kind of like the tubs that you take for camp, but they're the latch crates. And that's what all of the medicine was in, so that we could transport it to each new place every day. And I went and laid on 2 of them, and while they were open, not while they were closed. And so there's like things poking into my side and everything, but I'm just laying there like this because I was so tired. It was fun. And then Monday we went to clinic, and that was insane because we were in this probably 5x5 room with 8 crates of medicine. And it looks like a cage. There's a picture of it on my Facebook if y'all want to go look at it, but it's like this white diamond cage looking thing, and that's where we were passing out medicine. And Cammie had not specifically organized them by like antibiotics, non-antibiotics, but it was kind of set up that way. She tried to do it mostly alphabetical, but like even the boxes weren't alphabetical, so I didn't know where anything was if I ran out of something. And so we got back that night, and me and Clayton and Carlos and Cammie took everything out of the crates, everything that we had packed up the day before, and we reorganized it just for me, just so I would know where everything is, and we alphabetized it all. So that was kind of crazy. And then so the spiritual side of that is that just seeing everyone working together, whether they're from Burleson or whether they came with Olive Branch, and connecting really well, and the whole energy the whole week. There was never any arguments or anything between the people of our own groups, like the 2 groups that came. There was never any arguments that went, and so the positive energy that was surrounding us because of like our positive goal to come together and help these people. It was amazing to see that, and just seeing the love of Christ through all these people. And the people in Hinatega, even the native Nicaraguans that came and helped at the mission were the people that I saw like Christ through the most, because they had been through a lot just growing up in Nicaragua, because they don't obviously have everything that we have, but they were so willing to share their stories. And one that really touched me, this man Joe, in 2018, he had gotten married to his wife in 2015. She was from Florida, and she had moved to Nicaragua with him. And then in 2018, when everything got really bad and it was very dangerous for people who weren't Nicaraguan to be living in Nicaragua, he sent his wife back to the States, and they are still married, but they are living in 2 separate countries, and he is not able to see her in person and hasn't been since 2018. But like him and his wife still talk all the time, and like they're working through everything even though they're in 2 separate countries. And I think that was really cool to be able to see God working in their lives. And the life of Mindy and Travis, who picked up everything when they lived in the States and moved to Benny and Donna and Mindy and Travis, and even this girl Colette, who came as an intern and then ended up just living in Nicaragua, and seeing everyone's servant heart and just them being so willing to give everything up to do what God wanted, like their his will for their life. It was really amazing, and I think that's what touched me most. And I'm just so thankful that I got to go on that trip and got to experience that.
Very, very cool. Well, since you are a senior, and we're going to do some additional questions, so yours is going to be extra long compared to some of the other seniors.
That's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I know you have a hard time talking and you're really shy, but
yeah,
way to go
shy.
Coming out of your shell. All right, so some senior stuff. So one weird question, do you think you'll actually have a graduation?
So I would like to believe that I will, but I'm thinking probably not, just because of everything that's going on and the way our teachers are acting and everything. Just this week even starting to slowly come back into everything, and the way AISD is acting, I don't think I will. But looking at it now, something is going to happen in this time period that's going to make not it worth it, but even distancing and keeping people safe from not being able to see my classmates and do those last things, I know something good is going to come out of it. And so, like, that's comforting, but yes, it's sad. Like, I've looked forward to the past 13 years of my life. I've looked forward to getting to that point to where I walk across the stage and I shake hands with my principal, and I hear my family yelling from all the way across the Civic Center and hugging all of my friends while we're standing in our cabin gowns, and senior banquet, which may not get to happen. I've looked forward to that forever. And
we'll do it at some point.
Well, yeah,
maybe
but not
midsummer.
the time when we thought it was going to happen. And prom, which I didn't go to last year because I was like, man, I'll get to go to senior prom. And then I didn't go last year, but oops.
Always do the $10 prom.
Yeah. But it's always been something that I've looked forward to. Yes, I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm coming to terms with it. The longer that I sit here and think about it, I'm more coming to terms with not getting to do that, which is sad, but
it is. Do you know where you're going to go to school?
Yes, Lubbock Christian University. Peckham, go Shaps.
All right. Do you know your roommate?
Yes, her name is JC Howard. This past summer, when I JC'd for 2 weeks, I met her when I JC'd 4 sessions. She was pot washing, and that's when we first met. But then we JC'd, we were the only girl JC's 5th session, and we hung out all the time. And she actually just went on a trip with me this past week, and so we're just...
Where's she from?
Idalou, Texas, right by Lubbock. So,
Okay.
know.
What do you want to study?
So I went to be a nurse, which is one of the reasons that this medical mission trip was so cool for me to be at, because I got to see that in action and see what I can do when, yes, I'm living in the States, but I can still go on trips to be able to help people in other countries. And just getting to see the whole medical aspect of all of that and being on a medical mission trip, which I had never gotten to do, was really cool. And it just made me want to be a nurse even more, so...
Do you think you'll go on one of those at LCU? Because I
Hopefully.
think they do some.
They go to Peru, which is where Carlos is from, and he runs that whole trip, and so that makes me excited because I'll know someone if I get to go to Peru.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, all right. Favorite CT youth memory? Or a couple, depending.
So...
Can't narrow it down.
Youth memory. That's the hard... Like, I have so many memories of the church that I love, but youth memory... Oh, man. So, my very first retreat, I think it's the first one that I went on, we did Clash of Clans. Mm-hmm. I think I was in 6th... it was my first one, my very first one. And we had a... war... Mm-hmm. But we used pantyhose and flour.
Flour, yeah.
Yeah, and that's how you got out. You had to hit somebody with it. And it was so much fun, and I love that so much. And then another one is actually just from 2018 when we went to Ecuador. Sad we're not getting to do that too, but it's okay. I'm making my peace with that as well.
I just got a letter back, and she's putting us on for next summer.
Yeah. But when we went to Ecuador, I had actually, on our way to Quito and Tabacundo, and when we were in the Miami airport, we were all lost. And we had like a 40-minute layover, and we were just trying to get to our gate, trying to get across the Miami airport, which is huge. And all of us were confused and lost, and me and Aaron Hines were going down the escalator. I don't know if I'm sure you remember this. This was a big deal.
I was right there.
We had actually started down the escalator, and all of everybody else had stopped at the top of it. And they were like, actually, you guys were going the wrong way. So I had to carry on and a backpack on, but Erin just had on a backpack, and she ran up the escalator, no problem, even though it was going down. So I was like, psh, I can do it. And I started, and I tripped, and I fell onto the pointy part of the escalator. And so then So then all of that to say, my knee had 2 holes in it. I was bruised. I was in so much pain. My kneecap was bruised. So for most of the week, I was sore and hurt. And when we were in Ecuador, that festival for the farmers was going on. And one night they had fireworks for it. And it was right in front of our hotel, so we couldn't drive up to the hotel to drop us off. So there was a hill, and that's where the arena was. And then at the top of the hill was our hotel. And so the bus driver had to drop us off at the bottom of the hill. And we had to walk all the way up to our hotel. So they were like, okay, grab a buddy, put your backpacks on the front of you, this is the one times you have to be most aware, you're gonna have to make it to the hotel. And so this is Tuesday, after we had just come on Saturday, it was probably Thursday or Friday, and we had just come on Tuesday, and so my knee is still very much in pain. And Aaron Hines is my buddy, and we're locked arms, I'm limping, and these fireworks start going off, and Mom's like, oh no guys, if it misfires, kind of joking, because they're homemade fireworks, but she was like, if it misfires, we might be in trouble. And then we're almost to the hotel. We probably got 100 feet left, maybe, and we get to the top of it, and it misfires. One shoots and misfires right above our heads. I could feel the heat from one of the sparks above my head. And so Erin grabs me and she's like, Taylor, come on. And so with my hurt knee, me and Erin I limp, but Erin's trying to pull me as fast as she can up the hill and into the hotel. And that was a time I will always remember for the rest of my life. And it was crazy, but so many series of unfortunate events led to that experience, but it's one that I can, tell forever, so it doesn't matter.
It was story. Scary. It really was.
Yes.
Do you have a message for the youth?
Yeah. So, growing up, I was always haha, I'll get to graduate in 2020, the coolest year ever. It's the same number backward, the same way, 20 and 20. That's so cool. And then looking forward to so much, like I said, senior prom, senior banquet, which we'll get to have, but not till later. Ecuador, graduation, senior game night, all of these things, or senior lock-in, whatever it's called after graduation, and just not getting to live through those things I'm not going to be able to, has led me to think, seriously, everyone says live in the moment, because once you get to senior year, it's going to go by so quickly, and you're not going to know it until it's gone. And this past 2 weeks has really taught me that, seriously, if you don't live in that moment, if I would have known it was my last time to sit in a classroom with some of those people, I would have hugged them, and I would have told them, thank you for being, I've so enjoyed this high school. It's just such a sentimental thing that you want to be able to do, but we didn't know that it was going to end that soon. And so, everyone tells you live in the moment, but please, live in the moment and just soak in everything. You don't, yes, you're wanting to move forward with your life, especially once you get to junior, senior year. You're just wanting to, go and be done. But, just taking that time that you have with your family and with your friends. I don't even get to come to church and see my church friends. And, those moments, I miss sitting with Kinsey on the couch and listening to you talk and,
especially that.
Yeah. But just being able to get to do those things, we take that for granted so often. And then you get done and you're or something happens and you abruptly are done and you don't get any social interaction and you're well, I should have taken more advantage of that when I was there. But, even at my last football game, I was this is my last football game, and now I have all these memories, but, I don't have anything to show for it. But, just taking those times, because those friends, they're going to be your friends for the rest of your life, and you want to be able to hold on to that and think, wow, well, I really had a great senior year. I had a great high school career. I had a great middle school, everything meant so much to me, so I'm really glad that I just was there and present through all of it, and just look towards the future, but also be able to say that, like, you lived when you needed to, and you took it all in so that you can remember it forever. So.
Very good. That is awesome. Appreciate you meeting us out here in the jungle.
Of course.
And so we'll have some other ones coming up. Who do you think we should interview next? I don't even know.
I think you should
Who we'll get a hold of. We'll try to do her recommendation.
Let's do Brandon. He'd be fun, I think. His ROTC career and everything.
Okay.
So.
All right. So we may be next week or whenever we can get a hold of Brandon.
Yeah.
And he has knee injury stories too. So
Yeah.
it could be a theme. All right. We'll see you next time. Thank you,
guys.
Taylor.